Welcome to Gem Collectors with Shawn. I am Shawn, and I am raring to go today. Boy, I tell you what, this weather, unless you're out west, of course, is primo for all of the eastern United States. And some of you in upper New York, snow already, but that's okay. I know some of you would prefer the warm, hot weather, but I'm not one of them. It is certainly lends itself to rock hunting a lot more the colder it is, because you can always put on clothes, you can only take off so much, and I have been in the desert in, well, pretty much any other any other month than January, and you're burning up. I mean, when I saw Phoenix with over 100 days of over 100-degree weather, that just would not be for me. So this is actually rock hunting season, and it correlates with many other seasons, including leaf peeping season, which if you live near anywhere that it's a touristy thing to go look at the leaves, like I'm in North Georgia. Well, we have a major metropolitan city of Atlanta to the south of us. So this time of year, and a lot of businesses, of course, depend on that. But there's a lot of mountain towns, just like we're in North Carolina, in Asheville, one of my favorite places, all in that area. A lot of the towns are along, of course, rivers, and there's one way in and one way out. Well, you saw what can happen when there's a creek that does that and runs alongside. The other thing is tourist season, leaf season. And you can, I know the town of Helen, it backs up actually all the way to the county seat of Cleveland, which is, I think, about an 8-mile span between the two, and it is stop bumper to bumper. That is not getting out and seeing the leaves. Those of us in the know and have traversed some of the back roads, you can actually get in and out of some of these places if you know how to do it. But often they'll take you into areas that a normal city folk type person would not go to. But if you look like me and you have a big four-wheel drive, American-made vehicle, and you're pretty much left alone. Yeah. I just look like one of them, which I am. All right. This weekend, I discovered, let me think how you say. Sure. They're widening a major road that goes between the city of Cumming and the city of Canton. It has been needing to be widened for a long time. But I feel bad for the people that, the old-timey folk that, I mean, we still have a lot of roads named after the local doctor, 100 years ago, 150 years ago. Well, this road is Highway 20, and they're making it into a 4-lane. In doing so, remember what I always tell you, there's very little actual ground that a rock hound can find that has not been picked over and looked over. In other words, fresh ground. Well, one of those places is when they break ground on these subdivisions or in road building. And that's why weekends. And you kind of have to look the part. No, you can't go out there and park with a Tesla and get out with your shiny shoes and, dressed for Sunday church and expect to be left alone in some of these areas because they think a lot of people might be stealing construction equipment or whatnot. Well, I have never had that problem either because I just look like I'm a construction worker. And it works, truly. So I found, and it's high up on a ledge, they're widening the road and they cut across. This is actually an area that is at the base of our biggest mountain in the county. It's called Shawnee Mountain. And at the base of Shawnee Mountain is where, I might have told you the story, I found, looking from Google Earth, and in the middle of a bunch of woods, I found this clearing, this area. There were no trees, and as I looked a little closer, I recognized it for what it was. A lot of people wouldn't. They just think it would be some barren ground. No, they were tailings piles. And if you ever know, wherever, well, I guess you wouldn't. I lived out west. Tailings piles, hundreds of years later, there's still nothing growing on them. I mean, the oxides, that usually the percentages, yeah, they're mineralized. a little too much so. Oftentimes, rain converts it to kind of an acidic soil. Nothing grows, nothing grows. And same thing, nothing had grown on these tailings piles. So I was actually found a way, hiked back in there, long story short, using my metal detector, because I was wanting to know where all this dirt came from. And it was two sources. This was actually, hydraulic mining. That's the use of a water cannon, where water through gravity is forced into a narrower and narrower type hose, and at the end it's called a water cannon, and it takes often two people to operate, and it could wash out a hillside in a day. And so they would wash out hillsides, run all that through these primitive sluices that they would build, and get a very inefficient way. A lot of the gold, especially the smaller gold, would go over the top because they were just built in these square riffles in the gold. But they were out for quantity through quantity, and of running as much material as they could. And so in the side of the mountain, I recognized it for what it was, which is very rare to see hydraulic scars left over from hydraulic mining here in the United States. But I mean, it's the side of a hill, and then all of a sudden there's a horseshoe carved right out of it, perfectly level, and you're staring almost at these steep banks, There was nothing in nature. There wasn't a waterfall. No. I recognized for that what it was. Okay, but that dirt had to get washed away. It wasn't piled up somewhere. These were large piles of dirt. Where did it go from? Well, that's when I get out my metal detector. Getting out the metal detector, all of a sudden, I got a reading. And I got a steady reading. And then I got a reading about that far apart. If it wasn't so heavy, I would bring in one of the neat treasures I found with my metal detector in my backyard. Now remember, we live right in the middle of the gold belt. I mean, smack in the middle of it. And there is gold to be found, or remnants of all around. You just have to know what to look for. So in that little creek I talk about behind my house, I found a part of it, or cartwheel. It actually is still stamped. I mean, it'd be collectible. It's broken, but it still had the foundry's name and whatnot on it. And that was the right gauge and everything. So it's a neat souvenir to have found with my metal detector. But that told me also that there is a big mine. If you run a small gauge track back into a mine, you are talking about some serious return you need to get on that investment, meaning it is a serious vein. In other words, it's a vein of gold worth putting that money into. So those little tracks, I followed them, sound metal techniques, going back and forth, and it went right what looked like into the mountain. And of course it did, because so imagine the entrance to a mine shaft, right? And then add time to it. So the mine shaft is at the base of a hillside. Over time, that hillside erodes down in front of that mine shaft, and slowly but surely it starts accumulating dirt in front of the opening, and it builds up until the opening is completely eroded closed. Man didn't do it. Maybe they blasted it closed, maybe not. By the tracks still there and having not been torn up, I have a feeling that they took the easy way out, because those tracks can be taken up, laid down elsewhere, used again. They're there. I just didn't have permission, or it wasn't a situation where I would dig up such a thing. But what I was really tempted to do was, those tracks went into that mountain. All you have to do is dig out the front. In other words, dig out right where those tracks went into, and depending on how far back in, you open up the shaft again. And boy, then the world is yours for exploration. So anyway, that said, where this road is being built and high up on that ledge is right into the side of that mountain where there are proven gold veins. There's actually a city park where they actually had to bar off entrances to some of the mine shafts that they didn't, and I appreciate that. You used to be able to just walk in them if you wanted to. I would, but a lot of people would have another. But for safety's sake, they ended up gating them closed, but you could still peer back into them. But that is, there's numerous ones. So up on this ledge those bulldozers in cutting back, the ledge, because they have to, build it like in steps, right? There is a massive area. And I mean, I'm talking about 3 or 4 feet. This had to extend 20, maybe feet, a large area. Now I'm driving by and I'm kind of looking up. I'm trying to still drive by and looking up. What it looked like was a degraded pegmatite. I saw a real white type of rock. I saw glitter, like could have been mica. It was so different than the surrounding soil, which of course is red clay, that it is worth investigating. Not necessarily for gold, but maybe for something else. So that's what I'm going to do this weekend. That's how you find something new to prospect. Don't be shy. The most they can tell you to do, and especially if you're in the right of way and on the weekend, they can't do a whole lot unless you're like threatening the equipment. Where this is up on the side, it's in the right of way for where they're building the road. Man, I'm not in a situation where I'm taking anything. It's just, I'm just checking it out. And I already have my spiel anyway for why I'm there and what I'm doing. And it would make all the sense in the world. So, for the reason why. But I have never had any issues like that. I just want to check it out, right? But I guarantee if I find anything good, Raven already knows where I'm going to be. She's welcome to come, but I don't know. Sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't. We'll see how that turns out. Okay, so rock hunting season is now. The other season, it wraps around hunting season. Oftentimes, the two kind of can conflict with each other. So just be aware of that. If you get into the woods and you hear shots, where I live, no matter what time of year it is, people shoot their guns all the time, which is fine. I mean, that's country living if you want. And, if you move out to the country and just expect to hear city sounds, don't come to the country. If you move out to the country and want to hear country sounds, like the sound of my roosters or my chickens, then, when in Rome, you got to accept and live with those things. That's part of country living and the rights that you have that are different than being in an enclosed city environment that you're limited as to what you can do. Okay, let's get on. We don't have many comments, so that's going to go by fast, and then I have lots of things to show you. Okay, Mr. Matthew in Texas. Happy autumn to you all. I like that. Thanks for the bead show. It really helped my budget to have a week, especially for many of you, of your other viewers. However, I did snag the ring. Good job. Beads have really taken over the gem and mineral shows in our area. Where have they not? I'm telling you why. It is, well, let me finish what he says. So it is harder and harder to find great specimens, but most of the strands are not natural like these were. So many rows of man-made and fake beads. Absolutely. It is crazy how they have taken over the show still. And I haven't been to them in a long time. 50 to 75% of booth space. I don't know how they sell or how they make any money. The competition is so intense. And here's the other thing. I've showed and brought in here, and maybe I need to do it again, the fake stuff. And as a matter of fact, I always leave Raven, because usually if I go to one of these shows, I'm recognized. I have my own people to see and do, and so I'll, tell her what to look for or get. And so, luckily it was a friend of mine, but it wouldn't matter because I would have straightened it out either way. So she comes back, oh, look at these great malachite and azurite beads I bought. And I said, how much you pay? And she told me, and I said, well, for that, they should be genuine. She goes, genuine? You mean they're not? I said, no. And so she was shocked. So I showed her how to tell the difference. And then I went back to my guy and said, you didn't disclose these. And then, of course, he probably, oh, I didn't know that. I would have told her, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And he knew her as being with me. What he didn't know was that he wasn't going to get away with that. They can always say, oh, well, I didn't really know or whatnot. And you never know. This guy has knowledge that he should have known. But so these bead shows, they have the artistry down in creating simulant, fake, whatever you want to call them, beads, just like they have gemstones and lab-created diamonds and everything else. It's really amazing, especially for how inexpensive of a product it is to start with, that they would go through and they make the effort to make fake ones. So I was looking in that bead magazine that you can get, everyone can get stuff from, and I just looked, and I think even in that magazine there was more treated, fake, look-alike beads than there were genuine. And I'm talking about beads that didn't have to be, that there's enough natural stuff. But I guess it was a price point. They were cheaper. Maybe instead of a natural one, it was, that was maybe $9. A fake one was $5 or $6. And unless you buy huge quantities, I don't know. You know me, I'm a purist. It's like, give me the real thing or I don't want it. But the mineral shows have truly been taken over. And it's disappointing because, Matthew, you're absolutely correct. It is very difficult to find specimen dealers. It's a lot easier to be able to take your beads and swoop them up off the table and put them away than it is to put away with care expensive specimens, or that just, are, let's say, in the box and need just the top put on. Well, that takes a lot of time to go through them if you have them all boxed up and ready. So the thing about the shows with the beads, and it's not so much that it's even taking up a space, it's the number of dealers that are not representing their beads to be, are not representing them to be what they actually are. Whether through ignorance, there is dealers that it's one of those almost turn a blind eye, don't ask, don't tell, all those kind of things. Like, I don't want to know what it really is. I just am buying it by the price and I'm selling it by what it looks like. And those kind of attitudes, it is truly caveat emptor, buyer beware. So if you go to those shows and work with someone that will shoot straight with you or have enough knowledge of your own to know. I'm going to do a thing on, I've got some malachite, fake malachite. It looks really good. I mean, it would pass 95% of the people, unless you really know malachite, would think it's genuine malachite, and it's not. And so, I don't know. I'm just, everyone has a right to make a living, but they have a right to make it being honest, forthright, and divulge the information without a person having to ask it, because you may not know what to ask, or you may think you're insulting the dealer. You say, are these real? Kind of thing. No, ask all the questions you want. It's up to them to sell you, not for you to know everything it is to be a buyer. It is a bit, there's trust in this industry still. So work with people you can trust with, and do not hesitate to take in tools, because Matthew goes on to say, I will be looking forward to taking the Geiger counter, to shows along with various lights. It should draw some attention, perhaps also some learning opportunities. Many folks get curious about the UV lights, especially on diamonds. I love to tell a story and use UV lights with diamonds. I told someone the other day, one of the fastest ways you can determine if a cluster has cubic zirconia or natural diamonds without even looping it is use a UV light, because on average 1 in 10 diamonds will fluoresce blue or some shade of blue, enough visible that's visible. 1 in 1,000 will fluoresce a hint of yellow. So if you take a cluster ring, on average, there's going to be something. If nothing fluoresces in it, their red flags go off, unless it's like 3 stones or something, because on average you are going to find that percentage pretty much runs true. So if you have a cluster with 20 diamonds even in it, there should be anywhere from 2 to 4 diamonds that should fluoresce on average. And as soon as you see something fluoresce, then you know you're working with real diamonds, because cubic zirconias will not do it, white sapphires won't do it, that kind of thing. Fluorescence is a wonderful, wonderful tool, especially at shows when you can't, measure refractive index and do some of these other things. My pocket is, I take them out, but my pocket is always full. Yes, I'm a geek that would need a pocket protector, because I do carry pens in there. More like the worst thing that happens is I leave my batteries on to my UV light or something like that, and then I run my batteries down. Okay, so do not be afraid to take the tools, and if a dealer isn't willing to work with you on doing whatever non-harmful test to a piece, then, find another one. Please find more of the UV reactive diamond strands. Did you get that, Matthew? Did you get that strand? Is that not the most amazing strand of diamonds you've ever seen for fluorescence? Wow, let me know. Blessings, Matt. And on the trivia. So the questions were on the trivia, and I need to read them from what exactly I wrote, because remember, words mean everything, sometimes nothing, but semantics are important. What is the type of opal called that has to be held against the light to see the fire? Answer being, well, in the Spanish name gives it away. For the Mexican, contraluz opal. Contra meaning against, luz meaning light. So against the light. And like I said, a couple decades, I say a couple decades, it could have been now 30, 35 years ago. I still remember seeing the front, and I still have it somewhere in all my boxes of old lapidary journals. The front cover was on contraluz opal. And it was beautiful. And I always wondered, well, how does that exactly that work? So that piece was I should have kept it around longer to use for an educational piece. But I think it probably already sold. It was a beautiful piece of opal, no matter what, by way of value and color, besides that truly being contraluz. So the second question, what mineral shown fluoresces blue-gray? And that's an easy one. It's kind of unusual, because I would have thought it would be, that it would have fluoresced this color, being zoisite. So it's the green zoisite of the ruby and zoisite beads. The other form of zoisite we know is tanzanite, which is that heat-treated tannish, grayish, brownish stone, but it can also be naturally a purplish blue color. But the majority of it is heat treated to that purplish blue color tone, and it doesn't have a fluorescence per se. But the green variety of zoisite, very fluorescent, and it's unusual fluorescence. It's blue-gray, so that's an unusual fluorescence to kind of get, especially for something that's green. Question number 3, what is the non-gem variety of iolite called? What is the non-gem variety of common iolite called, or gem iolite called? And the answer is cordiorite. So cordiorite is more like if you found the massive quantities of it. Iolite is the gem version and quality of it. So those are the 3. Now, Mr. Matthew, getting, let's see, number 1, number 2, number 3, getting all 3 of them right. Mr. Anthony in Massachusetts says, hello all, lots of great stuff. I was going for the androdite, but I actually have one from Afghanistan with epidote and diopside. Good on you, mate, because after you saying that you were collecting androdites, that's a neat thing to collect. Of course, being garnets, I can always encourage collecting garnets. So collecting androdites, and that would have been a good one to add to your collection. Great to see you already have one for it. Got a couple of bead strands. I hope everybody got in on the bead strands. Come on, they were such super values. Take advantage of them. And remember, those items that I showed like today and that I showed last week, they'll be held available for sale, usually for like 3 weeks total. So if you want to go back and watch the show and see what's available, if you didn't get a chance, take advantage of it, because the beads aren't going to be something that I'm going to re-showcase much of if they don't sell. So get in on because I made them inexpensive. All right. So Miss Cindy in Pennsylvania says, hello, Rock family. Very nice show. Love all the beads. Never came across Contraloose opal before. You teach us something new every show. I like to hear that. I do have trivia envy. Lucky Miss Barbara. I knew that would cause, I know. I even didn't want to turn loose of them, but they're really only closed in a set of 3 because you can, I don't know, you know how me in displays, 2, you can jack it out something with, but 3 you can do a lot more of. And then, of course, they make great little stash boxes, It's not, the lids don't just fall off. You kind of have to work with them. So, kids, it'd be difficult for them to kind of pop the lid off of. If it doesn't just come right off looking for candy, they wouldn't. And it's what Raven has always used to put her crumbs in. And for those of you unfamiliar with that very scientific term, crumbs are pieces of crystals that she keeps that are like leftovers, or if we unwrap a specimen and a crystal broke off, like a scolecite or something like that. There's also then crumbs, and then she stepped up and she claimed all the butts in the household, and that is with 2 T's. Okay, I got to make sure I filter everything through my mind before I say it. What is a butt in our household? Well, when you have a big diamond saw and you're sawing up chunks of material, the butt is the very last end cut. It's kind of like when you're working with a big piece of meat, and it's that very last end cut piece. And so she's claimed it. She has baskets of those, and I saw some the other day that I can use my 10-inch saw to trim down further and maybe reduce how much weight she has in those. But her crumbs, I can't open a thuya wood box around the household without there being crumbs in it. So, but that's of course many years of those, and they're really neat pieces. Some beautiful. Like if you looked at them and if you blew up those little sizes, it would be a fantastic mineral specimen. I wish we could all do that, right? That's why I said it is so important when you look at these specimens that you see, whether it be on Mindat or, of course, most importantly, on any items that you may buy that you cannot hold. Dimensions are so important. So important for you understand and get a feel for the size of something. I was impressed with something again the other day, oohing and on, and I said, oh yeah, my number 1 rule, look at the size of it. It said the area that I was looking at was 1/4 of an inch across. It was this entire microcosm of crystals and beautiful things, and it was 1/4 of an inch across. I think we all have some really nice specimens if we only count that big of an area. So Miss Cindy again. Summer really is gone. We went from 80s Sunday to 50s daytime, 30s at night. It was frost on the pumpkin this morning at our house. And yeah, we're out in the country, but it was literally 33 degrees. Raven asked me last night, should we bring the plants in? I said, no, then late I saw we had a frost advisory, and then this morning it was literally on the vehicles, on the grass, everywhere. So I hope it didn't hurt the plants because of my poor advice on that. And then I talked to my son in D.C., and he said that it was actually colder here than it was in D.C. So I think the cold weather's coming to him then. But yeah, it was like a light switch going from hot to cold, but we love it. And so it was like 58 degrees in our house, and the warm spot was 60 degrees. We don't turn on heat or anything, and go on a cold. I'd rather feel that way than hot, and we like it cold. So Miss Cindy continues with the word black. I like the heat more than the cold. I still have windows cracked and have not turned the heat on. That's what I was just saying. Exactly. We leave it because I have a fresh air thing in my mind. Some kind of phobia or something, where even if the air conditioner is running, winter, summer, doesn't matter. I always have to have the window cracked. the thought of no turnover of air or no, I don't know, maybe it's the orpiment and real gar in the okay. My favorite, besides Gem Collectors with Shawn, nice ad on there, Miss Cindy. Rock Mineral Garage, never know what treasure you will find sale is on the 26th. I know you love those, Miss Cindy, and you have gotten some great stuff there. Woohoo! Hours of treasure hunting to look forward to. That's great. Trivia, getting them all right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Cindy in South Central Pennsylvania. Faves this week, all the opals and the eye light beads. Good choice. Miss Gabby stopping by. Yikes, it's Wednesday evening, and I almost forgot to say hello this week. We were lucky to miss the Wrath of Milton. Heart still goes out to all that weren't. I know, and there's people still without power in Florida. I can't imagine that kind of heat and humidity. Man, hope all the jewelry makers out there took advantage of those bead deals. See, Miss Gabby, who is very well traveled in her in the mineral world and in the show scene, would know. I would be very surprised if any are remaining. Wow, Miss Gabby, that would be great. I love your confidence on that, especially the way they were priced. I just don't know how many people recognize the value for what they are. That's why I even tried to give all those hints as to just how inexpensive they were. Trivia, getting them all right. Short this week, feeling a little under the weather after COVID vaccine. One of those necessary evils, but thankful it exists. Stay safe and well. Oh, Miss Gabby. Yes, do get well, and better ounce of prevention type thing, you know, than a pound of the cure. Miss Gabby, before we totally start, I do, or when we get ready to start, I have Asif loaded that chrysoberyl before and after. So everyone is going to get to see the before and after. And I'm giggling because the chrysoberyl, you remember that piece of rough I had, that yellow crystal, 33 karat piece of rough from 1969 when it was mined out of alluvial gravels in Ceylon at the time. It wouldn't have even, well, it changed to Sri Lanka later. And I thought I was the cat's meow for when it came to chrysoberyl. That big of a crystal, uncut. It would cut a, you know, they say on average 50% weight. Okay, on that one, due to the shape, I think I could probably do better than that. So 33 carats, let's say I got a 20 carat stone out of it. That would be of a museum size. Right, it would be. So what happens when Miss Gabby says, gets the stone, because it would go perfect with the one she has, the cut stone. And I'm thinking a giant one is like the other one I featured that was stunning color. And so I'm thinking, okay, so she's got, it would look great, a 3 or 4 carat, which is in the chrysoberyl world like that, huge. And it would look beautiful next to the piece of rough chrysoberyl, right? Her faceted chrysoberyl is basically the same size as that piece of rough. I'll show you in a moment, a little bit after we get done the trivia, the before and after. What we call the before and after. It's not the actual stone, of course, but to be able to have a museum quality size piece of rough and then a cut stone of about the equal size next to it. Wow. I was really shocked. And Miss Gabby was pretty amazed that I was so amazed. And why wouldn't I be? Oh my. Okay, so let's see. That's it. Yeah, so that's it. And we're going to move on to the main stuff. But after we announce the winner, let me make sure I didn't miss out on everybody. Nope. And, you know, that's just it. More of you need to participate in the trivia. I know a lot of you listen and watch, but because you're letting just a few people win all the time. So take a look. Now, the winner this week, I just put these items kind of together. It's not going to look quite as impressive as it is, but they are impressive, irregardless of my little clustering of them. Miss Cindy, let's show you what you have won, because it is a really neat collection. And it's some very high quality pieces that I have put together for you. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. Now, see how I just said them? It looked like almost a cluster, right? Arkansas quartz. Look at the quality. So this is some beautiful material. Beautiful material. With especially that additional crystal there. A wonderful, wonderful high quality rock crystal quality there. And then another really fine quality and termination. The Arkansas quartz, Malahite Arkansas quartz, is known just to be really, really color-free, just clear and white. But look, I threw in this. Look at this. This is a amazing azure double-sided floater. Now, a floater crystal is one where there is no evidence where it was attached to the host rock anyplace. And this is crystallized on all sides. Now, I actually have brought in my remember the crystal making I've been doing? Well, yep, it's been doing its thing since I brought it in last. And I am going to show you, and we're going to talk a little bit about how floater crystals form. And then, look at this. Here's a really nice piece of tangerine quartz from Tanzania to go with your collection. So wonderful, wonderful items, and there's nothing like quartz. Also, remember, quartz is piezoelectric, and that is really neat to actually measure the degree of voltage when you apply pressure to it mechanically. And they say that is actually how what creates these massive, large gold nuggets is earthquakes. Earthquakes, because earthquakes apply pressure on the quartz layers in the earth, and that they did scientific tests. That pressure creates an electrical current, and by doing so, it causes the gold to be attracted to any existing grains there or to the quartz itself. And then over time, and I'm talking geologic time, that gold continues to build up on that area that is electrified, so to speak, under the pressure and weight of the earth, and especially then during earthquakes, generating even a higher level of voltage and gold attraction. And that's why gold, for one thing, is very often associated with quartz veins. So all that I just read this morning. So always trying to catch up. Let me tuck these items away, and I'll be right back. There's been a write-up in Rock and Gem. Now, this has probably been 7 years ago or so, 8 years ago, if you ever want to look that up. The Kandala, you can see it there in the graphic, mine. Now, this is good friends of mine, Australian friends of mine, and they have their own chrysoprase mine, and nice, high-quality materials come out of there. And just like any other mine, there's a gradient of different qualities. So, this is one that they called their B quality, but I don't know what it's in relationship to. So there's 2 equal strands. I'm actually offering these because it's chrysoprase, and you may not want to do a whole strand priced individually. So there's 2. Now I have these put together just for ease. So there's 2 strands here. Price on each strand. Now remember, this is chrysoprase, which is a highly valued cryptocrystalline quartz. Wonderful material. And it's always, of course, translucent. And you can see it's got that nice minty shade of green. Each strand, price-wise on this, only $32 a strand. And I only have the 2 strands. Only have the 2 strands in 5.5 millimeter. So if you want them both, get them both. Wait, let me see. Did I? Sorry about that. I did price these as both. So everything's right. The price is right. So it's, good grief. That's what threw me off. 32 inches. Yeah, that's both strands. So that's $32 for both strands. Wow. Wow, that changes things. Either that or I made an error. But the wonderful material. And let me see, sometimes white doesn't always completely show the color, but let me see, right? Yeah, there we go. You can see it's got that really nice pastel. I guess that's kind of a pastel mint green. There we go. All kinds of adjectives to it. And for the quality, really nice. Nice translucency. And with 32 inches, you can do all kinds of things. Here's the other neat thing. They're already temporarily on just fishing line, and you can see that's just to tie it off. It is really easy to undo that, and excuse the pink on there. You can tell I've been messing with my homemade crystals. You can easily restring on fishing line. And if you get a thinner line, let me tell you, as a fisherman, you can use a much thinner line that gives it more flexibility and will certainly be stronger than cord, than a lot of different cord or silk. And it goes on real easy if unless your bead cord has the little brass tip on it, then it goes fine. So you can either restring these or leave them as they are and just put a catch on them, or put the two together, don't use a catch, and tie it off, or you can actually melt fishing line. So anyway, a lot of opportunities if you get both strands, because that's really choice, it's both strands. $32, that's why it seemed reasonable for it to be each strand. And it's probably actually the way it's supposed to be, but that is me doing it my way. Item, let me see what this is. This is, oh boy. This is going to get some attention. Only have the one. Item 121 2224. 121 2224. Let me show you. And this is, believe it or not, one of my actual favorite Kola Peninsula gems. And I use gem kind of lightly there because not many people will consider astrophyllite. And you're saying, astro, what? Yes. Astrophyllite is a amazing and beautiful mineral, okay? But ever since it was found associated with quartz, they were able to start making cabochons out of it and making jewelry out of it. It's just really popular. It's actually very rare. This is from the Kabini Massif on the Kola Peninsula. Now, a massif is like a mesa, okay? And it's this one little raised area that is very geologically strong in the minerals that have been discovered there. Now, let me just show you, to give you an idea, astrophyllite, the chemical formula for astrophyllite. Since you know, I've pointed out so many other things to you that you could probably read a chemical formula. Hold on, my magnet is attacking my tweezers. Potassium, sodium, iron, the 2+ isotope. Titanium, and each is like 7, meaning there is 7 Fe2+ atoms. Titanium, silicon, oxygen, hydroxide, the OH molecule, and fluorine at the end. Wow. That is everything involved with astrophyllite. Now, astrophyllite, we know Miss Penny, our Greek expert, would be able to straighten me out. Astro meaning star, phyllite. We've come across that word before, meaning leaf. Reason being, astrophyllite, it can crystallize in a kind of a starburst pattern, and it can also have like a micaceous nature to the material. In other words, it can leaf off and flake, and that's how it got its star. Now, how it got its name. The Kola Peninsula, and where this is found, is actually above the Arctic Circle, so you know their amount of time they can mine is limited. It was discovered in 1844, named in 1854. Hardness of 3, so it's a soft stone, triclinic crystal system. It's basically considered a titanium silicate. It's gorgeous. Look at that. And you can see blue colors reflecting off of there. It is this is a sterling silver ring, and I've had this for some time. I actually had put it up to sell. If I would have known I had it all this time, I'd have been wearing it. So I haven't been wearing it. It is an estate piece though, but it's as if it's never been sized. It would be preferable that it didn't need to be sized. Let me show you. You have a lot. See, when they're made like this and you have this space up underneath here. So I kind of accounted for that. Technically though, it can fit anywhere from probably a 6 3/4 to a size 8 and it'd be comfortable on you. That thick of a shank, the amount of heat it would take, even if you heat sink the stone, in other words, put it in water, it's just tricky. And of course, it wouldn't be no charge. Not at the price I'm offering that ring for. Only one I have. Take advantage of it because I am pricing it to sell. Only $88. $88. And that is a price based on me getting that ring, 15 years ago or something. A long time ago. And silver, of course, has about tripled since then. But my price doesn't reflect any of that. Those are really beautiful crystals. And when you loop them, you really get to appreciate more and more. And because of the type of stone that it is, if you are part of the metaphysical community, it has some very pleasing metaphysical opportunities and properties assigned to it in that realm. Okay, let's look at item 121-2824. 121-2824. Here is yeah, you know, I've always loved this material, and I have collected more than I knew, as in that amazing piece of rough that sold the other day that I should have hung on to. Turquoise. Take a look at this. Take a look at this beautiful material here. So this represents a really neat collection. This is over 20 to 30 years ago that these stones range from, as far as how old they are. So the color, I can tell, is natural, but the I would assume, and of course that's always a dangerous thing to do, but that they've been stabilized. Can't say for certain. I know it's you can tell when they're dyed. And let's see here. It's probably a good time to show you in general just how crazy the turquoise market can be. All right. When I got these items, I'm going to show you. It was which shade of color did I want? Look at this. This is how I bought this block of turquoise. And if you look at this. This is where they take bits, pieces, parts. You know, it's kind of like what they make bologna and hot dogs from when it comes to, which I both love. So, you know, but if they put the snouts and ears in there, that's fine. Just don't tell me about it. Well, pretty much with turquoise, it's everything goes in there. Then it's all bound together with like a resin, an epoxy type resin. And then you just saw it up, and depending on where you cut it from, you see, and it can look very, very natural. Well, parts of it is kind of natural. Now, here's the funny thing. If you don't like that color, well, how about this color? So I like my turquoise a little more green. Well, here you go. And I am talking about maybe 20 or 30 different shades. And it was like sold by the pound. These are 1 pound blocks. Now, that being said, it makes natural, so to speak, natural material like this so much more desirable than when you get the pieces that are made up of pieces. And you can see that some of this is really cool because you can see, look, you have natural quartz. Look at the natural quartz that's associated commonly with turquoise. There's also, I should have brought in the other stones I had. I culled 3 out of here that I thought were maybe dyed. And when you see that, you'll get a darker blue in the areas of fissures or areas that are porous, and then it's noticeable. But on all of these, I did not notice it on any others, and I noticed more very natural looks. So like this, look at that. Here you go. I love when my turquoise would have a big hunk of pyrite, 2 of them. Look at those pyrite pieces in there. So you know you're getting the real thing. The real thing. If they make up reconstitute turquoise, they certainly don't put pyrite in it. And then here's your common, oxides, the spider webbing, so to speak. So here is a natural collection of natural turquoise. It is so easy to buy turquoise that has been adulterated in so many ways it's not even recognizable chemically to test it for turquoise. This material, to be able to tell how stabilized it would be, I'd have to heat a piece or just cut a piece into a piece. The smell is so strong, it tells you a lot. Nice polishes to these, certainly nice enough. And I think it is about as close, unless you have Sleeping Beauty or that piece of rough, as close to unadulterated as you can get. Certainly it has not been colored. So it's some fantastic old stock. So just a little info, less copper turquoise has, we know it's a copper and aluminum type of mineral, and the more aluminum makes it more green. In the USA, iron tends to make them more green over aluminum. And just so you can see the green, both colors represented there. So if you want to know, well, what's going on there? So it is aluminum that can make it more green, but here in the United States, it is iron that gets involved that causes the color to become more green. So how about this? Only have the 1 parcel. One lucky person is going to get how many stones are there? 19 stones for $48. For $48, that's like $2.50 a stone or something. And it's not for a block of cheese. No, it is for the real deal. But you can see, I mean, look at how big, anyway, don't get me going. I couldn't believe it when I got those. So it's like, wow. Oh, he was all excited. He was selling even that much. And I said, no, I'm buying these 2 to use as an educational tool to sell genuine turquoise by. He didn't like me very much. He didn't see a big sale after that. It was, no, I'm buying your product so I can make fun of it and sell the genuine product. All right, let's keep moving. Okay, that goes there. Now, sticking with item 121, 3324. 121, 3324. It is this item is the one that is selling, instead of selling them both as one. Yes, sir. That is item number 121, 3324. So there are 2 opportunities. So let me show you. Look at this. Look at this. And I have had that for a long time. Again, it is old stock. I love turquoise. I had intended, of course, all these projects that I always intend that you're getting the benefit of, because over all those years I had many things that I thought I would get around to it on, and I just never did get enough. Yes, round to it. So the information on this item right here, as you look at those beads, you can see it's natural color Arizona. Again, so going back to the treatments of turquoise, I can say that it's natural color to all these. You can see the range of colors, okay? So that's one way to kind of tell. They're not naturally dyeing all the beads to match each other. Some are of little turquoise. Some have more turquoise than anything else. And you can see it's a big mix. And they're disc shaped, but uneven discs. You can see that. It allows, by them being able to create something like this, it allows them to use pieces of turquoise that they normally couldn't use. So it's a way for me to have gotten these at a good deal. And I love that look. I love the look that is freeform. There is a freeform look to these. And you can always put other beads in between. You can mix them with coral. You can mix them with silver beads. There is just a myriad of ideas, but you have to have the beads to start with. And then, let's say if you got both strands, because I only have 2 strands I'm working with, that you can cull them. Or if you have the 1 strand, cull out what you want, let's say to create a bracelet, or let's say to create as drop earrings, and maybe you want them, let me get my pointer here. Let's say you want drop earrings made out of this color blue, more of a sleeping, well, look at it. Pick out every one of those, because for drop earrings through the middle, you only usually need maybe 4 or 5, but you can see, look how rich some of the blues are. All based on how much aluminum or iron they might have in their composition. So the total length is 16 inches. And again, they're just on fishing wire now. So for those of you that maybe do not do bead stringing yet, well, you need to, because it's easy. You can leave them right here on the fishing line as it is, just undo that. It's just a little knot, and you can use them just as they are. And no one can tell the way that is on the neck. That could be silk, that could be anything. Perfect. And fishing line, you can stretch out a little bit. If you just use, that looks like 10 to 12 pound test line. You can use a 6 pound test line, talk more about fishing line than I can about silk cord. Then it'll make it even more flexible. So what I'm saying is, you don't have to go through the effort to restring them all. You can use the existing line the way it is, or it's really easy on ones like this, as opposed to pearls, to be able to string them onto any other kind of cord that you want. Now, let me show you the other strand. It's identical. I was going to sell both of these together. I said, no, let me give someone else an opportunity, even though I'm not limiting it. If you want to get both strands, you can. So here's the other strand. You can see they're identical for the most part. So same length, same weight, everything kind of thing. There's the fishing lines then. That is a lot of turquoise, And here's the neat thing. It is made in America turquoise. That's why I've had them so long, because it was part of my Made in America collection and getting items that were from the United States. And believe it or not, in the world, the United States produces the best turquoise in the world. Now, yes, you can hear about Tibetan turquoise, which I used to sell a lot of. I know all about that. Persian turquoise, of course, was the cat's meow for turquoise. 1,000 years ago. Turquoise and has long since seen its better days as far as mining goes by way of Persia, which of course is Iran. Iran, a lot of people don't realize that, and they all of a sudden take a different viewpoint of it. But rocks play no politics. It is just geology. Geology and geography, all rocks have to do with anything. Some people just are lucky to be born in the state of Paraíba in Brazil, or some, are born on the steppes of Mongolia and very little rock hunting. But there's still, rocks are where you want to find them, because I have told you that how many times, from that very sad day when I go back to an apartment and I had my little son. He was like 6 years old and behind apartments, and coming from the mountains in his home, and I wanted to go rock hunting, but I had him and I couldn't, and I was in a bad mood, and I just walked down the hill from the apartments on a very busy road, called Jimmy Carter Boulevard here, and below my apartments there was this little tiny creek. And in this little strip of woods that was right before another huge set of apartments. Well, down in that little creek, it was, I think the universe sent it to me because it was just something I need. And it told me again, just like Anthony says, eyes down. Because if you keep looking up and around, and if you're a rock hound, that's not where you're going to find rocks. They're not going to, well, it could fall out of the sky and hit you in the head. Some of us need that to, need a rock upside our head to straighten us out. In that creek, I found 1-inch kyanite crystals. Kyanite crystals. And, you know, it totally changed my outlook again and told me that, you know, it's what you make it. It is. Life is what you make it. And right here, all this time, I could have been rock hunting and have just as much fun in the back creek instead of whining. No. Okay, price on this, quantity of only 2, only $48 each. Only $48 each. And, you know, wow. To get that much turquoise, if you got them both, for only $96, and I actually love the fact that these are blended colors like that. When I see this, I say, wow, that is genuine Western America turquoise. This stuff that they're putting in this Native American jewelry now, well, I won't get going on that. It is very difficult to discern it for being genuine sometimes. It just, I don't know. I think plastic would be a better word associated with some of that stuff. Okay, so I showed you the cabs. I'm going to put those up. Hold on, wait. Lateef, did he show you how to pull that picture up on the chrysoberyl? He had. It was on that main screen, one of the main screens when you came in. It's a yellow stone, a bright, and a rough piece and a cut piece. Because I really wanted to show that. Let me put, as I'm putting these cabs away. Okay, well, I didn't want to show it on my phone because it just doesn't do it justice. He had put it in there under on his email, so I had sent it to his email. So if you have any luck there, fine. If not, then I'll wait. I don't want to show it without. I don't want to show it on my phone. It is a museum quality before and after, and it deserves better than what I can show you on my phone. Let's look at item number. Oh, here's the astrophyllite info. So I'll keep that. Okay, now here's a goodie. Item 115-6524. 115-6524. Now, talk about quartz with inclusions. And you see that little stone right there from far away? It could be a sapphire, so much blue in it. But what is actually creating that blue, see how as I try to talk and multitask, is one of the neatest, most beautiful inclusions in quartz called dumortierite. Dumortierite is actually, a lot of people aren't that familiar with it, but it has a hardness of 8.5. Hardness of 8.5. And it's also been referenced as the blue gene stone because of the color that it's found in. Now, in a area of Brazil called Araquari, and believe me, that last part of that, it is 4 vowels put together, and I had to ask the Brazilian multiple times, and he was being very patient with me till I got the pronunciation down right. If you tried to read the word as I pronounced it, you'd never get there. You have to hear it from someone else. So this is, well, let me show you. Let me show you. Look at those inclusions. Look at those needle inclusions in this material. In that, so there's the back. There are those, look at that. Look at that. Amazing Chuck, did Corduroy open his present? Everybody in the comments have been asking about Corduroy, and
Thank you so much. I sent Kim some videos of him doing it.
oh, you did?
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. I'll check the videos out. So did he break out all the rocks?
Yeah. Yeah.
So of course, those of you who saw, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we have Chuck on the camera now, and his son Corduroy, who you should have been there for the comments. People loved.
Awesome.
Did he get to see the video on TV? Did he put it on TV for him so it looked like he was on TV? Mm-hmm. Did he like that?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, that's neat, because we were wondering how the outcome of that.
His mom liked it too.
Oh, I was going to say, anytime you can make mama happy, you know you're making the household happy. That's great. So Raven and I gave him a set where the rocks are in like this plaster of Paris type of material, right? I hadn't broken one open yet. Yeah. And then you have a little rock hammer and chisel that's provided, a little hammer and chisel, and you break out the little with a hammer and chisel, and you chip out away the material and get to the rocks on the inside. So, we have had that for, I can't tell you how long, maybe at least a decade. And all this time, we kept thinking of who to give it to, I think it was just meant to be at this moment that you came in, and then you happened to bring Corduroy. We had just talked about that morning. If we had brought the gift in, we could have given it to him right before his birthday. But October 9th, I'll never forget his little birthday. But did he like himself on TV? See himself on TV? Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So Corduroy loved this gift, and our new little budding rock hound, since Mahalis, who is Penny's son, he was our little young rock hound. But now, after seeing pictures of Mahali the other day at 14 now, looking like he's like 18. I think, Penny, you're going to have your hands full. Corduroy will take over as the youngster. Look at that stone. I love those crystals and the way they form like that. From the Vaca Morta quarry. Now, I don't speak Portuguese, but I do speak Spanish, and I think sometimes the two translate across enough, because to me, that is close enough in Spanish. Vaca meaning cow, morta meaning death. Dead cow quarry is the way I would read that to translate. Not, and it's probably it's in Bahia, Brazil. So I know if it was a Vaca Morta quarry in Aracuaí, that's a lot to say. But Aracuaí is a different area. This is found a couple of years, but only really in Brazil that I've seen any nice material. This stone, anyway, is only 2.4. It's only $16. $16, and you may not even have any dumortierite in your collection. This is one of those pieces that looks amazing under additional magnification, so you can see the crystals. It's really, really impressive when you drill down on it, so to speak, and get a closer look at those. Okay, now, speaking of, this is a perfect segue into item 1212324. Wait till you see this. Now, this is one I was going to sell separately. Nope, I'm selling them all together. And this is one of those that it was represented to me as, and this is coming from the dealer, and this is why it pays for you, not you meaning each of you listening, not to count on what you might hear from the dealer as to what something is. Remember, like you watch me every day all your life. Remember when I had the Pakistani peridot crystals? Peridot crystals, of course, we're not even usually used to seeing, because the peridot, depending on where it's found, the ones out in Arizona peridot is found like sunstones mixed with rhyolite, and so there's not a crystalline form, as is a lot of peridot. A lot of the peridot is found only as alluvial pebbles. Peridot in Pakistan is in crystal form, but the crystals are often included with a mineral called ludwigite. Ludwigite. Another one of those I had to practice on. When I bought my first peridot crystal, it was from my Pakistan dealer. He said, "Oh yes, peridot with rutile. Peridot with rutile." He kept saying that. And I got him, and I, I communicated back with him. I said, you know this isn't really rutile, is it? He goes, yes, yes, I know it, not rutile. You know, I shouldn't try to do a Pakistani accent. Okay, I shouldn't try to do that. But I can't help it. That's the way you hear back, and you try to communicate, and yeah, you know, in broken English, which is fine. He said, yes, I know. I'm just conveying that, believe me, the conversation was as easy as I was making it sound. He goes, I know that it is not rutile. He goes, but nobody knows what lugwigite is, so I call it rutile. I just had to laugh. Okay, so just because no one knows exactly what it is you're selling, then just make up something that is familiar that they will know what it is. And that's exactly what he did. So the only thing difference was they were both acicular. Other than that, they didn't look anything alike. And this is the dealer knowing better as to what it is. Latif, don't put the graphic up on this yet. I'm just going to show it first. So here's the dealer knowing exactly that it is not rutile, yet saying what he thinks Americans want to, because they recognize it as something rutile, as opposed to trying to sell it as what it truly is, which is lugwigite. I'd rather have something new and cool and difficult to say, like, you know, Ludwigite. You know, Ludwig von Beethoven. That's only Ludwig. And truly, that's what it is. So if you go by that, so if you can say Ludwig, then add a night to it, and you have it made. Ludwigite. All right. It's not rutile. So if you're ever being sold Pakistani peridot, and they say it's rutile, and it is not rutile. All right. That being said, this necklace was sold as having rutile in it. Let's take a look at it before I actually tell you what it is. All right, look at these crystals. These are amazing, and I only have one. So as soon as I looked at these, I started looking at them. Okay, now, the first thing I noticed, now remember that rutile can actually be all kinds of colors. And if we go in here, let's see, let me actually do this, and if you can just follow me, Chuck, and Iris is needed. There we go. That's close enough. You can see right there that all those crystals are green. They're green or a shade close to it. Okay. And let me do this. Okay. And look at, so you can see even when you get to the bigger ones, like this one right back there, you can see it's green. Look at these right there. That's perfect. They're green. So take my word for it, they're all green. Then I looked at the terminations. The terminations are, since these crystals had a stop and start point, in other words, they didn't all come to the surface, and I could see the way they ended. And boy, if I so many times wish I had three hands. And then I'm dealing, could you pull those two off? That's an N52 neodymium magnet. Thank you. Okay, if you look right here, on this particular one here, since it's large enough, you can see the end of the crystals. And if you can see, well, I could see it better before, but right there, the one on the bottom. See how it's diagonal? In other words, it does not terminate flat, perpendicular to the C-axis of the crystal. It terminates at an angle. And something as minor as that makes a big difference in crystallography. And this necklace, bead after bead, I started looking at this thing and I had more fun than playing 52 card pickup with my younger brother, which was a lot of fun when you do it to him the first time. And my little sister, because it was done to me. So I had to pass it on. All right, you can see it. See that? Here's one. You can see that diagonal termination on both ends. That's a perfect one right there. That little diagonal termination as opposed to perpendicular, that is all it takes to make a determination and a complete difference in the crystal habit it belongs to. So let's look at this now as a whole. And let me just show it to you. There's 4 strands here, and you can do whatever you wish. You can string them into one. You can, you know how I do it, and it always looks good when you spin them. You know that look. Well, that look. Anyway, look at these crystals. This is beautiful. I wish I had the pieces of rough that they cut these from. These are hand cut, which you can tell by that little flat spot that was just, did you see that on that one? And that's how, and hand cut, it's neat because they're not done by a machine, and they actually sit there, and there it is right there. That little flat spot you'll see on some. And so there you go. We're going to stretch it out for you that way. And close, no one would know, unless you're, of course, zoomed in like we are, that these aren't perfectly round. But it saves you, buddy, hand cut versus, you know, machine cut, so to speak. I have a bead maker. I can't, it doesn't go down to beads this small, but I want to get that bead maker going again. A lot of my equipment I need to get going again. Ever since, that long bout I had with COVID and long COVID, it really set me back as far as a lot of the projects I had going on all the time. Okay, so I'm offering only 60 inches. That's 4 strands. So they're 15 inches each. It's not being sold by each bead separately. You get all of them. I do not have any others. So it's a one person take all. To me, these should be expensive. They should be, to me, have a lot more value than if they were rutile. And to get 4 strands of actinolite. It's not epidote. At first I thought, okay, I knew it wasn't rutile, so I thought, well, could it be epidote? But it wasn't quite the epidote color, and looking at it, it didn't have the epidote crystal structure. Actinolite. Now here's something else about actinolite you may not realize. Nephrite. Nephrite jade is a type and form of actinolite. And actinolite is kind of a broad word that covers a lot of other minerals you're familiar with underneath it. So nephrite, being a very fibrous, interwoven type of material, is why it forms such really strong bonds for carving and for even weapons back in the day. These beads are unique. And really, in the Gilgit area of Pakistan is really the only area that produces beads where there's enough material like this that you can even make beads from it. So anyway, price for all 4 strands on this is a opportunity for certain. And let's see, it's one of those things, I just don't know how low can you go. How about this? You know what, as you look at those beads, you will have more fun just looking at each individual bead. There is the crystallography of some of those things in there. And who's to say, I think I did spot a piece of shoral in there. I think I did see a rutile in one. Just all kinds of fun to be had. $44 for all. $44 for all 4 strands. I kid you not. That is not what I thought I would say. That is a fantastic value. Now, let's look at item 121-3024. 121-3024. Now, you want to see, I'm going to show you something that you probably haven't seen, probably didn't even know they quite made. Anna King. So our primary silver designer and supplier when we were carrying a lot of silver, but we still have some pieces that we've had over the years. This is where this item came from. And of course, you know how pet-oriented our household is, especially the Raven, and her love of all things pets, whether it be birds, whether it stray cats. We currently feed, because in our neighborhood, it's way out in the country. It's the only neighborhood around, only one. And people literally will just dump their unwanted animals in there. And they think they'll be taken care of. Well, the cat that we have in the house, we actually took in from being outside, and we feed 2 other strays. They're sweet, loving kitties. They've been fixed, and now people have just dumped them. We just can't take in them all. But, Raven cannot go by without making sure that their bellies are full, and the birdies and whatnot. So, that said, when we lost her pug of 16 years that she had him, it was heartbreaking for her. And Summer, her daughter, got her something, not just like this, but something else. Of course, she didn't have the money for something like this, but something that would hold what this was made for. Look at this. Look at this. This is item number... did I give it to you? 1213024. It is a urn, a sterling silver urn, I guess you would call it, for pet ashes. And it is heavy. It can be completely engraved on the back. And as here is the tag from Anna King. And then a nice large bale. And usually she has her logo on the, yep, there it is, on the inside of the bale. And as we come away from this a little bit, I'm going to show you how easy it is to actually access this. So it might need a little bit of polishing or not. So all you do is turn this it's a little screw, and you can fill the ashes in through there. So I hadn't seen anything like this. And the other neat thing is the paw is kind of generic, so it could be any animal. And the other thing, it lends itself to being oxidized. See how it's roughed up in there? So you can take either a paint or a oxidizer like liver of sulfur, or those of you that know how to oxidize silver, you can use a lot of, you don't have to buy the expensive stuff they sell jewelers that does it. You can just use all kinds of homemade things that will darken the metal naturally if you want to. So look at that. Isn't that neat? And it's heavy. This piece at 10.50 grams with a paw print is all sterling silver, and it'll be the only one we have. We won't have another one. This is one that I had come across and need to sell it before the lady of the house claims it for, for some other pet. Who knows? You should see. Luckily, when I got my excavator, it had backed up the number of different pets that we had in boxes that needed to go to the pet cemetery. And our ground is harder than rock. And so it was even difficult with my excavator to dig all the holes I needed to dig to line up the plants. And so everybody gets their rightful honored place returned back to earth. But the thing is with Bubba, and I'll say this without getting without tearing up. I probably, if Ray was here, I probably would. But the thing that they did was they put some I shouldn't tell you, people digging up my backyard. Metaphysical crystals that went with the passing of a pet and the transformation on to its next life, which of course is the belief of certain religions in the world. And so it is, pets have a really meaningful place in the house, and everyone gets honored, including when I had to bury these quartz crystals with the normally I dig quartz crystals up out of the ground. I normally don't put them back in the ground, but in this case, and in honoring the pets and animals, they got an Egyptian's farewell. Like if you were a cat back in the days of the Egyptians, wow, you were treated rather well. So this really neat guy, it is a fraction of what the price on it would normally be. And I'm offering it for only $78. $78. It was actually I saw 119 on one that we had offered many years ago. So that is certainly a sale price opportunity on a very unique item. And again, like I said, you could even have all kinds of things engraved on the back. He didn't have to show you how to get to that picture, did he, Latif? Okay. Now, let me show you. Oh boy, do I have an item now. Okay, hold on. Let me put together the things that go with that. Here we go. Item 121-2924. I am talking about a real, something I thought I'd never sell. And after doing some more reading up about it, I shouldn't really sell it now. I did not fully realize myself just how unique and special ametrine crystals are. And take a look at this. Let me pull this up. Take a look at what I've had all these years. Look at this specimen. To have even this much of a termination is extremely rare. Now, as we keep looking at this piece as a whole, and if you go to Mindat and you start looking at the ametrines, you're going to see, and if you read about them, that by far, and I'm talking like 95% of them are all etched. Now, etching is this. It's where a soluble solution comes through and literally melts away, eats away, dissolves away the existing quartz. So imagine what kind of solution that has to be, right? In our world, it's hydrofluoric acid, which I won't even touch. And Raven says, I love to play with stuff that burns, eats, and destroys. In other words, acids. And that comes from when I was doing a lot of refining. And, you know, just the chemistry side of me. Anthills do not live in my yard. Even though they serve the place in this world, they just have their place. And it's not where I'm going to get bit by them. Now, what is so extremely rare with the only mine in the world, the Anahi mine in Bolivia, is the fact that because so much of the ametrine is etched, that you have very little crystal formations that are recognizable as a crystal. They are just these, it looks like amorphous, meaning have no shape pieces of yellow and purple together. Now, I read like 3 different ways that they have basically still no concrete idea of how the purple and yellow form, except that it is due to varying oxidation states due to gradient temperature change. So you're telling me, you know, this I'm talking to myself, which I do. So I said to myself, so you're telling me that when I have a radiation symbol of alternating pi shapes of purple and yellow, that it got that way just due to gradations in the temperature and different oxidation states of the iron. And it was a Fe3 plus and Fe2 plus difference. So I read another thing, and it had to do, as I've said before, has to do with natural radiation in the ground causing that, which it could cause it to have a different valence or be a different isotope, Fe3 plus, Fe2 plus. And then the third was Brazil law twinning. So Brazil law twinning it's kind of hard to describe. It's a type of twinning that the crystal grows in one direction and the citrine will grow in another direction, and that's why they twist together and then can create, when you cut it crosswise. So this is the C-axis. This is the cross width. So you cross width, you get that radiation. So that was another thing. So yeah, Brazil law twinning may have something to do with it, but not everything. Nor does everything else seem plausible. So I'm still waiting for a better and concise, definitive explanation instead of that the jury's still out, which is in most of the cases what they prefaced and said prior to then spewing about these different potential ways. But the common one seems to be gradation of temperature, gradation, not radiation, gradation of temperature and different oxidation states of the iron. Now, that all said, let me show you. Let me see if we can just hold this up against a white so you can see any of the yellow. And that's because of the way it forms. Okay, so when I turn this, you start to see some citrine up here. And then you can see citrine here. And you can see amethyst and then citrine. So in theory, I understand the twinning part pretty well. The majority, if not all, of the crystals, you could not see into them for the clarity due to the way this particular one looks on the outside. Now, if we look, the really neat thing about this is it also had, in this particular piece, if we look, let me pull the black back here so we get a background. If you look, this actually had quite a few crystals that were internal. And there we go. Let's look right in here. So you can see, look at that one where it left some mud behind. But if we look, it was you can actually see the 6 sides to it where it was a penetration crystal. And here are others that, look at them, that have dissolved away but left the cavity where they were. So that is really cool. That is really cool to look down in those. And then also over here, you can look, and they actually go really, really deep when you look at them close. There's more. And this is the etching. So as we turn this, you can see this, because this is citrine. This is citrine. You have amethyst there. And then up here, you can see citrine, amethyst, citrine. This is a naturally, it's not a cleavage, it's just a natural breakage, but it all across the entire piece, which it's not necessarily even broken off from something else. It depends on how it was etched, so to speak. Let me get one more item here. Okay, let me backlight this a little bit, move this away, and see if I can't. Look at the clarity and look at the purple. It's an amazing specimen. So when you go and look, and if you compare to like Midnat, and that's where I suggest you go to, specimen after specimen will not have any distinction of crystallography. You cannot tell it's crystal at all. For this to have this much of a termination that is definable, that is very special in itself. And I knew that a long time ago, and why I have hung on to this piece for that reason. And I haven't sawed off of this one or anything, whereas I have some other ones that I had. And it has a, as you can see, very well-defined citrine area. And you just actually have to turn this the right way. Now, here's a couple other interesting facts regarding ametrine. There is so much fake ametrine. Oh, there we go. See, look at that, citrine. There is so much ametrine that is man-made. It is buyer beware. How do you tell? And the majority of the citrine, including every citrine geode you see, you know those big geodes that are citrine on the inside? You've seen them in amethyst, right? They're all heat treated to make the citrine color. In fact, it is technically not citrine. Citrine doesn't get its color from heat treating amethyst. And the way you can tell is whether they're dichroic or not. Heat treated amethyst into citrine, there will not be any change of color as you turn the stone. Let's say you had a loose stone or a crystal. Whereas natural citrine does have a dichroic change. In other words, it changes color with the direction you turn it, as does amethyst. But amethyst that has been heated to turn to citrine, it won't. It won't have that change, even as mild as it is. And I've seen it, there still is a dichroic change. So the reality of citrine that is created from amethyst, you actually are you're creating that amethyst from, you're creating that citrine, from amethyst. And by doing so, you don't have actual citrine. And a lot of people aren't really aware from that. So citrine from amethyst isn't actually citrine due to the color from iron oxides, particularly hematite and and goethite. So the iron oxides, hematite and goethite, which we know are in amethyst, we've seen inclusions in amethyst like that, that is what, and the iron in them, that is what lends itself in heating it to turning the amethyst to a citrine color. Natural, genuine citrine, its color does not come from iron oxides. So some is colored by aluminum even. Some but that's why you get those weak colors, those colors that aren't as pleasing. And I've talked to you about that, and I was going to heat treat and experiment some with it. But, truth of the matter is, I don't want to make citrine that's not genuine citrine. So, ametrine that is man-made from quartz, and they create the amethyst, and then you just don't want anything to do with it. And how do you recognize it? Because it's an amazing, beautiful purple and an amazing, beautiful yellow, and it's 50-50, and everything's just perfect. And that's not the way it works in real life. So this is a really rare piece. And those of you that have citrine made from heated amethyst, technically, all you have is ferruginous quartz. Ferruginous quartz, which is quartz with iron, basically. And that's how you get its color. So if you're looking for genuine citrine, I've showed it to you before. I brought it in here before. It's not that pleasing, but it's natural and it's genuine. As is the citrine that is in ametrine. But it's still up for debate on exactly how that is formed. So this is an extremely rare piece, and you have to do a little homework to go to Minda and see that there are no such things as a crystal cluster or a crystals of ametrine. They're all well etched like you see that one. All right. Price on this, only $128, and that is a deal. It is, I was floored when I saw how much some of the dealers that had anything to offer were asking for that type of material. Let's look at item 120, 5624. So now, this is a perfect time to showcase this again. I had this the other week and we're showing it. This is genuine amethyst. See, it's not perfect. You see, you have, yep, sorry about that. I mean, yeah, hang on. It is item 1205624. I think that's a 6. This is a cutter's special. And you can see there's actually a little area of clear, but you can see the amethyst in the ametrine is not super great color, and the citrine, not super great citrine. So when you see those pieces that have stunning amethyst color and citrine color, yeah, you're talking about it's fake. Now, this is a cutter special. It only has a nick at the bottom. That would be easy for me to cut out, but I have so many of those projects that I just need to share them with all of you. Whoever wants to recut an ametrine can save a lot of money. I saw how much this kind of material is going for, and it is not inexpensive. It's a single source material, 13.82 karat, and yeah, so the least expensive I saw any of this was, it was everywhere from $7 to $20 a carat. So even on the low end, that would make that piece close to $100. How about this? Since I showed it before, you know you're going to get a discount. Here we go. $32. Only $32 for that ametrine the way it is. And if you're a cutter, or even if you don't do much cutting, if you just cabochon, all you have to do is round the bottom of that and take it out, and you're in business. Okay, now what next? Let's look at this. Ooh, item 121-3124. 121-3124. And take a look. Take a look. This is a treat. And you may think it's something else. Just let them see it for a minute first there before you pull the graphic up. I want everyone to think what you might think it is. Okay? Look at that. Look at that. Okay? So think in your mind what you would say that is, and I wonder how many of you will get that right. It's the green. It's got the dark spots in it. I know what it looks like. It looks like really nice nephrite jade, right? Looks like British Columbian material. Well, let's show them what it really is. I love this stuff. Pennsylvanian antigerite. Now, if you've heard of antigerite, it's because I mined it myself. I mined that amazing antigerite from Chunky Gal, Not the same place. I'm talking about the Chunky Gal mine shaft that is now closed with that grate where the bats are. And they actually put a sound detector outside. And I'm talking about in the middle of the woods. If you didn't know where this place was, you would never find it. I stumbled across it many years ago. It was mined in the 19-teens for ruby and then for corundum. You know, emery boards and whatnot, and then also for serpentine. So when we get into serpentine, that's where we're talking about the antigerite. I collected some stunning, amazing specimens, and I was going back for more of the specimens. And in the mine shaft over the years, I have many bats are in there, and I've got pictures, you know, with our heads right up next to them and all, and you know, never to touch them or anything. And I know about the day the white nose fungus. I think that is actually killing bats across our entire country in a horrible way. So when I had gone back last December with my son, I took him there. We finally found it again, the mine, and they had put a grate, I'm talking about a bar grate across this. And I've been in a lot of mine shafts that they attempted to close off, and most of them are not successful. This was going to be successful forever. Even the people that built it, it wasn't like there was even a lock on it that you could get in. Oh no, these were drilled and driven back into the rock. They were welded all to each other, and there was no way anyone could ever transgress that. And it's a shame because there was, it closed off a lot of neat access to mining possibilities there. Then they put a sound detector outside of it. So my son and I were talking. We said, "Oh man, they could be hearing it." No, and I'm sure it's because of the battery. They timed it for evening and for the bats for when they leave and when they come, and they're chirping and the noise. So it's tuned in for that really high pitch. And so I think it's great that they were doing studies. It was neat to realize that they even knew about this mine shaft back in the woods in the middle of nowhere to even study the bats there. So that mine had antigerite on a really high quality basis, and then some nice specimen quality pieces. Antigerite is a polymorph of two other types of serpentine. Polymorph, of course, being the same chemical formula, but a different crystal composition or makeup. So the polymorphs of antigerite are chrysotile and lizardite. And what you're looking at is the highest temperature. All three are low temperature minerals. In other words, they form at low temperature. So consider a high temperature. Antigerite forms at 350 degrees Celsius. In the world of mineral formation, that is not a high temperature. The other two, chrysotile and lizardite, form lower than that. And like I said, those crystals I'm growing at an ambient temperature in the house. So it doesn't take all these temperatures and pressures that we so often think that minerals have to form at. This from Pennsylvania comes from a very special location. It is the premium and about the only location for really high grade quality antigerite. Look at that. Okay, so one of the mines, and these are both up on the Maryland-Pennsylvania border. One of the mines is called Woods Chrome Mine. And oddly enough, but not so oddly, look at these inclusions that you see in it. These dark black inclusions most likely are chromite. So chrome is something that is found in association with serpentines and antigerite. And the other mine, which is where this actually came from, is the Line Pit Mine. The Line Pit Mine. So they're both right there. It's the same geological formation, but for really nice high-end stuff. And that's it. So I've had that ring. This is old stock. I have had that a long time. I don't know what. I just never want to sell it. I haven't worn it. I just never want to sell it. So, but I need to sell it now. And I'm selling it at a price less than it would have been ever sold before. Because in this show, remember, we don't take offers, we can't communicate, so I give the very best price straight up front for that reason. Now, if it doesn't sell and I do re-showcase something, I always, because there's never a lot of room to take a lot off, but I always take in most cases, a few bucks off the item if I show it again. So this first time around, a lot of people, if you try to gamble on that though, you miss out altogether on getting the item. Pennsylvania, how about you? There is Pennsylvanians that are watching now. Miss Cindy, South Central Pennsylvania, right there, I know is one. Here we go, $44 on that ring. Only $44. That is very inexpensive. And for something that is, remember, that's part of my Made in America collection, and a really great opportunity if you want something that would be so much less expensive than if it was a nephrite, which it does look like it. And it's actually a lot gemmier looking than nephrite. Let's look at item 121-3224. 121-3224. I'll give you another chance. Take a look at this one. Take a look at this one. Here's the two. I don't know the exact weights. It didn't really matter of the stones. Don't know the weights of the stones. Doesn't matter. You're not buying the weights. You're buying the look. So look at that. There's a nice large round one. Let me just show that on my hand so you get an idea of, the size on the hand. there's that one, and then here's this one it's right here. A little bit different color due to the thickness of the stone, I think. So, sterling silver, both of them. Beautiful, beautiful look. If you're into the metaphysical part, look that up as well. And remember that antigerite is a polymorph of chrysotile and lizardite. All three are serpentines. So all three have the same chemical makeup, which is a combination of magnesium, silicate, oxygen, and an OH molecule, a hydroxide molecule. Price on this one, let me see. Why not? Why not? Keep it simple. $44, same price. $44. Oh, let me put the 40, there we go. That one. $44. And again, I think the neat thing is, one of the really neat things, the fact that this is a made in the USA mineral, so to speak, gem. And that I actually was mining antigerite myself. I had brought you in. I'll show the specimens again. I just have them down the way in the hall, in the office, but I'll bring them in for the next show or so, and show you what a crystalline form of antigerite looks like. Okay, now, here we go. This is perfect. I segue when I don't even know how to segue. Right to item number 1212724. Now, this is from the Greek word nephriticus. I know how to say nephrite, but when you put the rest on it, then it messes up. Nephriticus. And it is called lapis nephriticus. So lapis, what is that? It's Greek to me. Now, it means where is Penny when I need her? So, of course, lapis has to do with rock. Look at this. And I think that's where they get the word nephrite from, huh? This is nephrite jade. But nephriticus has to do with nephrology, which is kidney or something. So, I don't know how they got that. I didn't read the rest of it. Okay, here's the thing a lot of people don't know. When you hear about mutton fat jade, I am sure you've heard about that before. What is mutton fat jade? Well, news to you, it's not jade at all. It's not even nephrite. It is tremolite. When you see white jade, which is one of the rarest jades, and because it's white, it actually chemically takes it out of the realm of being a actinolite. There's a whole series of minerals. It's called actinolite to tremolite series. And the more you go to the tremolite end of it, you lose the green and it becomes white. When it is white, it is a tremolite or white jade, and it's called mutton fat jade. It's a nearly pure tremolite. The green is due to iron from actinolite. Remember earlier I said nephrite was actually an actinolite? Actinolite has iron in its content, and let me show you. Oh yeah, here we go. Let me show you. Let me see if it'll, right here. Okay, so I don't have a, let me see if it has a, or let's do it on the glass. See if it has any, where there's little resistance, any drag resistance here. Because it's heavy. Here we go. Look at that. Did you see it just spin it? Here we go. It's magnetic. Look at that. There we go. There we go. Let me get it on that flat face. This is an N52 neodymium magnet, the officially recognized magnet for doing this. And as we pull it near, now remember that's a heavy bead. There we go. So you can see it spin. And you know why it spun? It's because it spun to the part that was positively or negatively charged against the other end. And so this shows right here, right now, let me see, it has a drag response. If I floated this on water, and it's the best way to always tell if there's a limited amount and you're not sure, Well, make sure you get it off of a surface that has a lot of drag, like the velvet. So you put it on something like glass. Now, if you really, and it still doesn't give you a response, you float it. Just like you've seen me do, I'll put it in a cap of like a gem tube, and I'll set it on water, and then there's no drag, there's no friction to hold it back. And by doing that, then you can measure really, really low quantities of iron content in an item will register that way with a magnet. And right there you can see that this is absolute, oh, there we go, that there's absolutely iron in this material, which proves that it's jade. So here's another way. I just showed you a great way. Take that magnet, go. These places, you don't know how many of these places I've seen offering, and I'm talking about mineral shows, jade for sale, greenstone for sale, this for sale. And it's not at all, because guess what? They could say white jade, they'd be right, but it's tremolite. It's tremolite. It's not even in the nephrite series of minerals. Or it could be nothing to do with nephrite at all. There are so many lookalikes in the nephrite world that you really need to know the different tricks, because nephrite, which is a calcium magnesium silicate, it can contain diopside, grossular garnet, chromite, which is usually the black specks, vesuvianite, graphite, which are also some of the darker black specks, prehnite, apatite, and rutile, along with all three serpentine polymorphs. That's what can actually make up your nephrite. Now, if you have the bright like Mount Sit, that is made up of a chrome nephrite with a chromium content, or cosmochlor, which are related. You can see in this particular specimen that there's a whole lot of other stuff going on, actually quite so. See, this is where, for a little bit of it, I get, and I can just play because I love this stuff. I want to know if that rock spins or not. I want to know if it's magnetic or not. And I don't ever stop. I just play with my rocks. See, this very little, because you know why? I don't see any green. So maybe there's less actinolite, meaning less iron, no magnetic response. That's how you can use a magnet. I'm going to get a bunch of those N52s, and I'm going to offer them to you guys at my cost, and just so you have them, because the magnets are so important. So anyway, what I'm offering here is 1 pound of nephrite for sale, and I think this is my last pound I have of it. There is some really nice gemmy material in here, and beautifully tumbled. You can put them in the aquarium. You can, it won't hurt the fish. Look at this. Look at the gemminess to some of these. Look at that. I mean, that looks just like the serpentine, doesn't it? I mean, look at that. So how do you tell the difference? Well, hardness is an easy one, but oftentimes you can't scratch things there. So I'm giving you other things to use and to consider as we go along. All right, the price of this pound of material. Your opportunity is now, because it's the last one that I have, and I have a deal. I have a deal because I used to sell a bunch of this material, and now I don't. I'm just, I guess, clearing this out, even though I wanted to keep those for other reasons, as always. But that's me. I want to keep all the rocks. All rocks are mine. I want them all. Price, how about this? You know, I always thought I wrote prices down on everything, but obviously I don't write them on a lot of things. I remember what I sold them for a few years ago. As long as I make them less than that, then I'm in doing good. Here we go. $48. That just doesn't sound right, but I just spoke it out of my mouth. So that is the price. Only $48 on that. Okay, time is clicking on me. Yep. All right, now, here are some surprises. Wait, okay, hold on. Before I forget, let me do this since I brought it in to show you. Okay, the crystal growing. Did you see this before? You weren't here on the other crystal day. Okay, so let me put up these.
When we put the list reference, I saw the ones that you had grown.
Yeah, you did see the ones I had grown? Yeah, did we do the fluorescence that day?
Yes.
Okay, so, yep, we have Chuck here. Of course, his little boy, Corduroy. But Chuck got to see the first, sorry for the noise, everyone, about the bicolor fluorescence. That's where I grew chartreuse fluorescent crystals first. Then I grew another layer over them, just like we see in tourmaline, like the watermelon tourmaline and whatnot, where there's multicolored layers, except this time I did it in multicolor fluorescences. Okay, something like that. So anyway, let me show you. Next, remember, I told you I was going to just grow some in a cup. Okay, here are the seed crystals that I grew in the bottom of the cup, which I'll show you in a minute. Look at these. These are just simply beautiful. I'm telling you what. And these grew at room temperature. So these grew with under no pressure and no other temperature but the ambient temperature of the room. Look at those. I mean, don't they look like pink spinels or something really valuable? Technically, they're called kaolinite, potassium aluminum sulfate. And they will fluoresce an orange red like no tomorrow. All right, so I'm just showing you. What we're going to talk about is this cup. Now, let me backlight this. Help. Okay. This is great. If I could just do this and be the science guy all day long, except for minerals and gems, it'd be hog heaven. Okay, we're going to talk about floater. Remember the azurite crystals? And you heard about floater crystals before. That are crystals that grow without ever, you can't tell where they were attached to a base. In other words, you can't see if they were part of a crystal cluster. They have terminations at both ends. You wonder how the piece grew. Well, they're called floaters. So in the pocket, wherever chamber they're growing, they could be literally just floating around in the solution. Or as the solution passes through, they get bumped around and moved around, but never anchor themselves to a wall or to another crystal. And you wonder, it's hard to picture. It's hard to picture in my mind. Okay, well, let me show you. And this is a demonstration about floater crystals. Imagine in the pocket. See all these crystals around the edge? Those form from evaporational action. In other words, just as the water evaporated, these crystals, as it dissipated, formed along the edge. Now, just imagine that happening in a void, in a pocket space in the ground. Well, it's easy for something to just fall off the surface, right? Or the edge and float down. It's not connected to anything. And it becomes a free-floating crystal. So that's one way, is a crystal that is attached to something breaks off. Now what happens, nature does not like, it abhors damage. So that's why you hear about these healed fractures. Fractures that nature, geology, earthquakes, etc. can crack or break a crystal. But then nature will come back in and fill in that break, and it's called a healed fissure or fracture. It happens in corundum. Now, so if these fall off, they're going to come get into the solution and they're going to continue to grow. And any place that would look like it was attached or broken would be grown over. So that's one way. The other way, look at these unusual floating areas down here. Now, believe me, what's in this, there is nothing that could grow organic. But there is things that form that are cellular, well, not cellular, that's the wrong word, atomically start assembling themselves that can be like a cotton ball mass to start with. And then you can see that they're free floating, they're not attached. In time, what happens? I'm not sure. But I would imagine, just like you saw that azurite piece, that it could end up rounded and free floating, just like you saw in that azurite. And when you see that, it makes a lot more sense to understand it when you see it occurring, or see the actual stone. So I'm actually getting that out. So here it is. So remember that? Look at that azurite. This azurite has no visible contact point where it was attached to matrix. You can see it is just a, thanks. It is beautifully crystallized all the way around. So, and you can see the crystals just started growing on top of each other. That piece is really neat, by the way. That is, I'm giving away free. Lucky Miss Cindy got in on that neat discovery. Okay, so that's a floater. And what you're seeing right here is the potential to wind up like that. So you have those free floating, whatever they are, not sure. But look down here in the bottom. Now, these crystals are attached to the bottom, but not all of them. Not all of them. There we go. There's some that, right there. So there is some loose around here that aren't anchored. And they, I don't know, there we go. Here's a bunch of them right here. So you can see them. They're not anchored to the side. All those others were. And that's all it takes. All it takes is one loose crystal, and it starts building upon it. There's one right there. And it'll continue to grow on that crystal, and the crystal will get bigger and bigger. There it is right there. And there's some more right there. And that's a floater crystal. And yet they'll still grow. And create bigger and bigger crystals. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do with these, whether I'm going to use these as seed crystals for something else. I think so. So anyway, that is where we're at with our crystal growing, and that's why you see my fingers with pink, because this stuff, oh my, do not get it. Do not let the kids get anything. It will stain, but it's okay because it's a mineral, it's a rock. Okay, so let me give you something to look at for the moment. How about this? Just look at these for the moment while I put this away where I'm not going to spill it. There you go, as Chuck gives you a focused viewpoint on this. I'm going to show you my little holder because I was so paranoid. And believe me, there's a top to it. So look how I anchored these in. Here you go. There we go. Look at it. So I have them. So they're not above here. I can put the lid on. They can't go anywhere here. Yep. Making sure that Mama doesn't chew me out for spilling those. All right. What do we have next? Oh, yes. 121, 25, 24. 121, 25, 24. And this one I had to keep from... the raven. Of course, she loves everything. She collects everything. It's a big rock hound. This, though, it's not the shape. It's the purple. It's the color. Yeah. This is a heart that won't break. Look at this. Look at this. This is a stunning labradorite heart. And it has incredible formations to it. So for one, look at this really neat, like, cat's eye that goes across there. You can see that eye going across there. That is neat in itself. Of course, you got the colors from the labradorite there. Look at that's actually really cool. What in the world? That's the biggest cat's eye Labrador I've ever seen. But wait, I'm sure there's more. There we go. Look at that. See that obtuse angle? All I had to do, and then you get the purple in there. Look at those angles. And that's what you have to do with labradorite. Look at the blue come in there. I mean, you wouldn't even know it was there if you didn't take a look at some of the... Look at that eye still going across there in that direction. Man, I didn't see that at home. I didn't have the right lighting. Look at that. Anyway, now, what you should always do, Just like they say at weddings and stuff, you're supposed to serve the bad wine first, then afterwards they can't tell whether it's a good one, or is that a Bible story? Good wine or not. Well, same thing. When I'm showing you a specimen, I show the bad, oh, look at that. Look at that. More color coming through there, the bad side first, because look at this side. Oh, yeah. Such a tease. Look at the purple in there. The purple is the rarest color for labradorite. It is like every stone, it has its rare color, but purple is the really sought after color. And look at the face of this. No matter which way I turn it, there is stunning colors. And look at that eye. It goes all the way through. Yeah. That is neat for that alone. Actually, in labradorite world, I really haven't seen that. I really have not seen that well defined of a chatoyancy that is definitely in a cat's eye pattern and effect. That is really cool. So look at the blues. This has so many colors, but the purple one is the money shot. And there is an angle. Look at that. On this, that is a lot of purple. I saw it the other day. But it doesn't matter. I can't get past that cat's eye. That's all I see in that piece. Stunning, stunning, stunning. So anyway, I have a really good value on this. Sure do. Only $44. Seems like it's a $44 day. $44. And it weighs over a pound. And has a stunning purple and a patch of purple that I haven't even seen yet. So somehow I haven't gotten the angle right, because I haven't seen that really intense broad patch of purple. So I am going to leave, it'll cost me as much to find it, so I'm going to leave it to whoever is lucky enough to get that to find it. Oh, look at that. Oh, I'm seeing some more right in there. Maybe it's at one of those obtuse angles. Wow, look at that. Oh, I think I thought I felt it coming. Let's see. Look at the blue. It's really hardy material too. Oh, you're right. I feel it. Wow, look at all the color here. Anyway, oh, look at that little different. Okay, so here's an orange pink, and then right here, look at that wave of yellow that comes out. I didn't see that before. It was worth looking for again. That's what I'm saying about labradorite, about this material, especially this piece with the curvatures in all the different directions. Look at that. That eye's killing me. I have not seen that in look at the blue over here. I hadn't seen that before. What a great piece for only $44. Okay, so since we're talking about cat's eye, let me show you something really quick because I got a discount on it. Item 120, 42, 24. Wait till you see this. Cat's eye emerald. Now, cat's eyes and emeralds are very faint. They're very faint. Now, you're going to have to work your magic there, Chuck, on this, and we're going to find it together. Cat's eye emeralds, the cat's eye in an emerald is really shy, and they're never a strong eye. Yep. There it is right there. Hold on, let me get my pointer. And, okay, look at that eye. Look at that perfect eye. And for emerald, this is about as good as it gets. And that is a decent eye. This is a bullet cab. Look at that. There it is right there. Very distinct. And again, for emeralds, that is that's about it. That is about as strong as it gets. And remember, if it's real clear, if the emerald is real clear, it washes the eye out. It almost becomes invisible. Now, we have those other lights on still. I knew there was something wrong with the lighting. That would make a big difference. Latif, can you unplug those, please? You know, the ones. So, Yeah, that is what's washing out the lighting here. Yeah, that's all right. If you can just unplug them. That's how I told them we had to do it. Oh, look at that. That is much easier to see. Look at that, Chuck. Doesn't that make a difference? Look at that. Look at that. Okay, so that is a well-defined eye for cat's eye emerald, and that is a extremely rare to find. Really rare. Now, I am offering a really good discount, even though this material sells for a lot of money, 3.35 carat Colombian material, and that eye is definitely and easily visible. And let me just, yeah, look at that. So I created 2 eyes. So that definitely shows you it's a and I take it away. See that second eye created by the other light source? Yep. So it's the real deal. Price on this? How about this? 3.35 carat. I'm offering it for crazy $188. That is sale priced. $188. You can see the eye sitting right there. As the clock is running down on me, but wow, I am offering this at such a discount. If you collect emeralds at all for that kind of money, you need to add that to, there it is on the other side. Look at that. So add that to your emerald collection. If you collect emeralds at all, or if you collect optical stones, cat's eyes, whatnot, that's a jewel. Okay, now let me get to the next item here. Because today's show, I'm running a little short on time because of situations going on with me. Item 121, 3424. I'm getting ready to show you one of the coolest mineral collections of any of these I've had. And look at this. This is that 17 piece, except I added one. It's 18 piece. And the thing that's so cool about this is some of the localities. Okay, so you have a garnet from North Carolina, Corundum, which is, ruby or sapphire. If you love fluorescence, this has, and I had to get out the UV light. This is stunning. Look how big this apatite crystal is. The crystal alone is worth as much as I'm offering for everything, but this fluoresces. Look at the irises, incredibly. Now, beautiful Thunder Bay amethyst, where it has hematite in the end of it. Canadian fluorite. Let me show you something. Fluorite that is clear is almost a unicorn, because fluorite is almost always allochromatic, meaning it gets its color from impurities. So when it's clear, which is its pure form, it's really rare. This is facet grade fluorite. Look at that. And clear. That would facet a huge stone. You see it? It's classic isometric crystal form. In other words, square or equal-sided. And I don't know, I should swap it for another piece, but I didn't do it. I am giving someone an opportunity. That is just as rare. Look at this Swansala. This isn't regular fool's gold pyro. This is Swansala, world renowned for its crystalline pyrite. Look at the size of this sulfur. From made in the USA, Louisiana. Look at that. Big piece of sulfur. Now here is a amazing item. And let's, if you love fluorescence, the kyanite. See all the blue crystals of kyanite in here? They all fluoresce red. This also has a Virginia origin. And not all kyanite fluoresces as strong. There's also green in this and pyrite. You can see the little flashes of pyrite. There's also green, like all down here. Now, I'm hoping that green is kyanite and not emerald or something more desirable. It could be diopside, but you can see there's green throughout. This piece is a piece I would like just to have in my collection to study it more, or to run slices on it because the cross sections are beautiful. Here is, I added this quartz crystal. Look at that. To the quartz pieces, just to have one with clarity. You can see this large one, another Arkansas quartz. Here is one. You've heard of Needles, California? Well, this is called an obsidian needle. Needles, California name for obsidian needles. This is obsidian, which is, of course, volcanic glass in that in a needle form. Let me see. Oh, Canadian labradorite. Look at that. This is labradorite. That is the reason why labradorite was named labradorite was Labrador, from Labrador, originally found Labrador, and of course Labrador, part of Canada. Look at that color. Look at the purple in that. Didn't even know it had the purple. Look at the blue on that side. That is in beautiful gem quality. Tumbled, amazing. New York. Here we go. Oh, look at this. I haven't seen a really nice piece of selenite, which is the higher quality of gypsum. Look at that. That is a unique piece. And then corundum, of course, this is a sapphire crystal. It's been sawed off the bottom, probably checking on the quality to see if it would star. And then look at the size of this North Carolina. Look at the dodecahedron. And underneath that surface, who knows what kind of quality you get. Anyway, oh, let's see. That was I showed you the fluorite. Oh, here, the calcite. Then the calcite crystal. Okay. And I have it sale priced. This collection, only $58. $58 for the whole collection. That's a excellent opportunity. Now, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let's see. What in the world? Item 1186924. 1186924. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, this is a gorgeous piece of. Look at the fluorite. Look at that fluorite cube. Chinese fluorite. And look at these quartz crystals. So look at that. Display this specimen like this. Look at how attractive that is. It has pyrite. It's a tungsten and tin mine this is from. And then look at how we just looked at fluorite being isometric, cubic. Look at how perfect that is. And look at these crystals. These, like they come out of nowhere. Look at that. This aesthetically, look at how beautiful that is. And then here is a form of muscovite you normally don't see. Are we all the way in? Look at this. And this is actually mica. It kind of looks like other micas. But muscovite, you can actually see the layering and some of the reflections once you look a little closer. But a lot of times lepidolite will take on this form. But not too often I've seen it in the muscovite. So you have mica there. Oh, look at that quartz. It looks like it has even a phantom in it. And then what's on the back? Wow. More geology. And what's over here? What? Look at that. What is that? There is a pyrite cube. Look at how unique that is. I'm not exactly sure. It looks like pyrite, but the color is a little different. Interesting. It could be other things, but those fluorites, look at those fluorites make it, along with those quartz. Love that piece. I have this at a remarkable opportunity, and since I did show it one time before, I am going to put a sale price on it of only $48. $48 on that, and ooh, that is a lot of pizzazz and a lot of aesthetic uniqueness for only that much money. Now, let me keep up here. Okay, we're going to, let me show you. We're running out of time here in a minute. Item 119, 1624. Since we featured, well, let me show you this. This is a beautiful collector piece, and we had, if I can get it out, well, maybe I'll feature it next week. It's actually stuck in its container, its little holder, but that's okay. Not like I don't have a zillion other things to show, and one of them, importantly, being this one right here. Item number 1190924. 1190924. And it is natural and it is remarkable. Look at this. I love the color and shape to this. So let me just put it in with my pink ones there. And then let me show you what this guy can do. It's alluvial. It is from, look at this, Horse Gully. And let me show you those colors. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? All natural. And then look at it from the end. Look how different the color is from the side. And that is, there you go, look at that. That is what you get with this alluvial bicolor sapphire. Facet grade. This is absolutely facet grade. And you could have, depending on which way you orient it, and which way you turn it, you get a different look. But the tumbled look is the natural way it came out of Arawata, Horse Gully in 1992. Look at that zoning. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Okay, so that might end up actually to be the last item of the show. Let me see if I have time. Okay, price on this, I'm going to discount it. I'm going to make that bad boy only $54. $54 on that. And then item 1187224. 1187224. It's going to be the last item of the show. Let's see what we get with this. There's going to be a whole lot of things that I wished I would have shown, but didn't have time. But oh yes, look at this. Look at that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even Chuck got it. Oh wow, out of that. Look at that. You can see it is on banded chrysocolla. So you have Arizona malachite. Look at the blue. Look at the blue. This is incredible. Incredible. The Inspiration Mine, world renowned for stunning copper specimens. And then look, it gets better. Look at that. Look at the banding. I could look at this type of piece for hours. This is so unique. You know, you wouldn't want to, but if you actually sliced this up, I think that would make some stunning. Look at that, stunning. That's all natural. Nothing's been sawed on cross sections. I don't know. That just, it's a double-sided piece. So both sides of this are really attractive. As we come back away from it a little, you can get a feel for the size with my hand behind it. Look at that. And just look at that. That's super attractive just there. Okay, so, all right, we're gonna have to wrap it up. Price on this, I am gonna discount it. It should be a lot special for the Inspiration Mine. So if you were gambling, you're gonna get to save yourself some money. I'm making that one only $68. That's the last item of the show. I'll be right back. We are doing What Am I? Or What Is This today for trivia. We'll be right back. All right, I am ready to go. Okay, 6. So we're going to do 6. Give you people as many chances as possible and just see where you go. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit more information as we go down the line here than normal, but some might be a little harder. Okay, so going from left to right, it is what am I? Some of these may seem really easy. Look at that. Okay, so I don't think there's a whole lot I need to say, except there is one thing I want to show just because Chuck will probably find this cool. Look at this. So it splits the letters. So you can see how the letters are doubled. And that's called double refraction. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Double refraction, except to the highest extent there is. So, yeah, that's neat. Now, number 2 is this one. Now, it's small. Let me put this with the tweezers. As we look at this, you want to look at it closely, and you want to see that the main crystal is what you're identifying, not the other inclusions. You can see the crystal sides, and then you see that it is included. But what is the crystal that is within? So you can see it's like a champagne type of color. What is that? Now, there's 3 of these, just so you can see each one. These are actually quite unusual. There's a lot of fake synthetic material like this in the market, especially in the bead market. These aren't drilled, which is really unusual. So I actually have a nice bag of these, and they're not drilled, which I thought, wow, isn't that neat? Because I'd rather have them actually not drilled for some reason. So you can see the reflections coming out of there. That might help you. Also the color. Now this one, all of these, you should be familiar with, or I have shown at one point or talked about. This one is something we've discussed a lot. You would normally want to judge it by its color. So the color is the big giveaway, so to speak, in helping to identify what that is. The other thing is some of the pearlescence that you see, just the way the crystal forms and the surface kind of reflection, the pearlescence to it. And, you know, this is just a crumb, so to speak, of what would have been the bigger piece. So you have to like supersize it to maybe get a better feel for it. But you can see in this particular specimen, just a kind of a pearlescence and a waviness to the surface. It's found botryoidal sometimes, but the color is it's often in this color range, and the clarity is usually translucent versus transparent. This is something that you're very familiar with, and I just haven't really shown it in the show, but it's something that if I said what it is, you'd be like, oh yeah. Now, let me see if I can, well, I'll backlight it with a little bit more light here if you just follow me there. And so you can see that it's not completely opaque, that there is light that's passing through it. And then in this particular piece, you see a little bit of a silver sheen in those silver areas. And here is the other side. And if you're familiar with it at all, this side actually says more than the other side when you get familiar with this material. That's a giveaway. And then this last one right here, you can see the color, the somewhat of a crystalline shape. You can see it does crystallize, and wow, that's actually pretty. It has some neat irises in it. Trying to show it every angle so you can get an idea. And then let me backlight it a little bit. There you go. Inclusions can often help in this type of material as to what it is. But a beautiful color to it. nonetheless. Okay. There you go. Now, 6 items. And again, everything you're familiar with. A lot of you like to do this, so good luck with that. The ones that maybe you won't know, when I tell you, you say, oh, of course that's what it is. It is that simple. So thank you all so much. Get as many things as you possibly can. I really appreciate all the support. Now remember, you can order from the show 24/7, Gem Shopping Network. We don't ever close except Christmas Day. And same return policy as the regular live shows. We've been here for doing the podcast for 7 years. I've been here at Gem Shopping 17 years. Keep us going. Keep us going. So I'm told I'm supposed to say like and subscribe, because I didn't do that until a few months ago. Didn't even know. That was never the purpose. To me, it's about show and tell more than show and sell, and it was set up to be that way. So feel free to contribute comments. You don't have to answer trivia. Just send in any comments you want. And but you have a really good chance to win something cool by just throwing in, and there's never such thing as a wrong answer. All answers, of course, you base it on the knowledge that you have. So you're answering it to the best of your ability, and that's all that ever matters. And it's for fun. It's just for fun. And for me to give away a lot of money's worth of stuff for fun. God love all of you. I appreciate you so much. Continue to have a wonderful, wonderful fall. My son's birthday was the other day. Chuck's son, Corduroy's birthday was the other day. My mom's birthday would be towards the end of the month. So, and my favorite birthstone is opal. So this is a good month. It's a good month. And all of you have a great day. See you next Monday. Cheers.